had the whole world at our feet, watching seasons change. Our roads were lined with adventure, mountains in the way couldn't keep us from the sea. Here we stand, open arms. This is home where we are, ever strong in the world that we made. I still hear you in the breeze, see your shadows in the trees, holding on, memories never change.
Alright guys, it's Chase here. I'm going to dive in and do a chart review on a few of the cryptos as well as some of the stocks that we're currently watching and trading, as well as some others that I know some people are kind of trading outside of what we're trading, but that I told them I would talk through as well. So let me switch over to Bitcoin real quick. We're going to start there, then we'll dive into the actual stocks from there. So Bitcoin, everybody's freaking out, and I, just like last week, I don't get why. Everything's still super bullish, and there's lots of people on the crypto Facebook groups right now that are screaming alt season, and they're not wrong. We're starting to actually ease into alt season a little bit here, but alt season really comes once we get a bit of a shift away from Bitcoin. So what a lot of people are clinging to right now for alt season as kind of their indicator, and I'll show you this so you can understand, is they look at Bitcoin dominance and they see that Bitcoin dominance is dropping off here. They'll try to use the technical indications such as breaking of the trend on the weekly and monthly, but what people aren't really accounting for is that Bitcoin as a whole is still in bullish continuation. So once you start to have these actual seasonality shifts between crypto going from Bitcoin dominance to alt season to meme coins and rinse and repeat, they think it's just like one big single cycle, and that's just not how it works. So you've got this pullback going on here, but if you look at this from a technical standpoint, like a lot of people are trying to do, you actually have a bull flag here, as well as a potential double bottom setup, showing that Bitcoin is simply retracing a little bit here, consolidating, and likely going to continue to have more upside momentum for Bitcoin dominance. So if you want to look at this from a purely technical standpoint, which I typically won't look at Bitcoin dominance that way, just because it is a sentiment indication, it's a tool, it's not meant to be used for pure technical analysis like that. I see this as Bitcoin dominance is not done. Similar to like what we saw back here in 2018, you can see that we kind of hit these same levels and range before early 2019, and then we ripped higher, and that's when we hit the previous peaks, and then we kind of pulled back, and then we ripped higher again. A lot of people are screaming alt season, and we're kind of starting to get there. I'm not saying it's a bad time to accumulate different altcoins. That being said, Bitcoin's not done running. So I don't expect us to get full-blown alt season until maybe late Q1, Q2, Q3 of next year is when things will be rocking for alt season. Like I said, definitely not saying not to go ahead and start easing into some of the altcoins that are appealing to you. Y'all know how I feel about Solana. and several others, but just want to call that out because I think people are kind of getting confused a little bit whenever they hear alt season. They think that Bitcoin's done and all the main coins are done, and that's just simply not the case. So if we want to look at Bitcoin from a technical analysis standpoint on the weekly time frame here, that is still a massive cup and handle setup, and we're still running in the breakout of the cup and handle as well as the bull flag bullish pennant breakout over here on the shorter time frame. So if you look, we're actually forming yet another bull flag here to push up higher. It was actually on the weekly. So this pullback and consolidation here is a good thing. This is in a sense building a base, if you want to look at it from like the base rally base type standpoint, as well as what you see right now with a lot of the selling ties back with what I've talked about on some of the previous videos, where end of year you're rolling in, people are taking crypto paper losses and loss harvesting to offset capital gains. So you'll see certain wallets sell off a big chunk of certain crypto, followed by either immediately rebuying it or waiting a few days or a few weeks and rebuying it at that point. So there's not a wash sell rule with crypto. It's kind of a loophole in a sense. But as of right now, Bitcoin's still rocking. I'm not going to go through all the cryptos here just because I can do that in a separate video like I did last week. But just wanted to show that, as well as can drill over into some other crypto stocks and stuff in a separate video. But going to shift over to a few stocks now because I've got a few here on the list. If you're listening in and want me to go through any additional stocks, feel free to throw them either on the live stream chat there or on either the chats for the Discords I dropped it in, because I dropped in 3. As well as I'm not going to actively monitor Facebook posts. So if you want me to look at a ticker for you, feel free to throw it out here. Otherwise, I'm going to dig in. Tony, I'll touch on at least the ones on your list that we're actively trading. I'll try to cover the others as well, but take a look at NVIDIA and start there. So what I'm looking for on NVIDIA here is, right now, you look at this, we broke the first uptrend, right? And now we are having a slight retracement after this bounce here. The thing that stands out to me though is that this is looking more like a retracement before we continue a downside move to complete this measured move for that bear flag breakdown, because the volume, in order for us to get momentum and significant bounce off that region, I would expect to see increasing volume. And I'm seeing a little bit of weird movement over on the options flows right now when it comes to semiconductor stocks. If I look at the 4-hour here, you might be able to see this a bit more. It's trying to form an inverse head and shoulder setup here. That being said, we also moved up and rejected at this minor resistance. So I'm not actively trading calls or puts on NVIDIA here. I'm in my long shares on NVIDIA. I will sell covered calls against those if we get a tap on that resistance level there. For me, the premiums and the risk to reward just doesn't make sense to actively trade this right now. That's why you haven't seen me actively trading it or alerting it, just because I'm not going to put people in a contract that costs $1,000 to potentially gain 20-30% on the contract. It just doesn't make sense when we can put that $1,000 in something else that has a lot less risk involved without being in one of these potential setups where we reject at the previous resistance levels and support levels. So NVIDIA, you can see here the levels here that we can watch. If it can pull a bullish move, if it can get some buying volume and push higher, that's great. We're looking for a move above 140.67 to maintain bullish momentum, but we're likely going to see at least a minimum test of this next trend line here on NVIDIA. And I remember right after earnings, all the people said we were going to bounce right here and rip higher, yet here we are breaking that trend. So that's why you have to kind of be careful and look at this from both perspectives as well. Also, with that dividend date approaching, that's not a guarantee, because the dividend for NVIDIA sucks. So there's some tax reasons for actually pursuing that, but you'll notice a lot of the derivatives and the sort of leveraged or inverse ETFs related to NVIDIA might have traction and movement going on around there. Ultimately, right now, what I'm watching is the setup to see how it plays out. If I jump over to Tesla had some news come in after hours, then I'll come back to a few semiconductors. So it looks like in after hours, Tesla actually tanked off the news that Elon's pay package was rejected yet again. So that's not great. I'll be curious to see what that means in the near future. I haven't looked at a lot of the news and data related to that. I just happened to see the Twitter announcement come in after hours. Then I was busy kind of setting up this stream. But what I would watch out for with Tesla is if Elon's package has been rejected again, he's going to need to fund his ventures and other aspects with money from somewhere. So he's going to need to liquidate some kind of assets in order to do that. I'm not saying he's going to sell Tesla shares, but it's not out of the equation if there's other ventures he's wanting to pursue right now. Not saying I'm bearish on Tesla, because ultimately y'all know I have significant shareholding. So I kind of wish I would have sold more covered calls against my shares this morning. I kind of been patiently waiting to do that, but I wish I would have sold some this morning when we tapped that 350 level again. Or, I'm sorry, bounced off the 350 level and tapped that 360 level, but I didn't. So, or did we not even tag it? Yeah, we did tag it. Okay. I thought I was losing my mind for a second. So, we'll see what happens. I wouldn't be surprised to see that 324.68 gap get filled in the near future. What I know we've got the larger bullish pennant going on here on Tesla, which is why I've maintained my shareholdings, and I've kind of closed out for my gains while I had them on my covered calls, and I've patiently waited to sell more covered calls here. But ultimately, we'll see what happens on Tesla here. We did get a little bit of an increase in volume. I think some of that's from the Stellantis news that came over the weekend, but yeah, we'll see if that holds. I'm always cautious. I'm not going to say skeptical, but I'm cautious when it comes to Tesla whenever we get a big gap up and a pump on a Monday, because 9 times out of 10, whenever I see that, I look over at the options flows and you see massive amounts of spike premium calls being sold into the retail trader masses. It happens over and over again. So from here, if they were to either trade it flat, or if they were to even give us a slight increase, or even a pullback based off this news today that just happened to come in after we saw this big bounce, right? What you're going to see is the premiums of call options on Tesla have no room to recover, especially those between now and like December 20th and those at the end of the year. You're going to see a lot of kind of burning of those premiums, because most of the options that you see on the chain were for now, especially this month, that were sold throughout the year. I mean, y'all personally saw me sell 1220 covered calls for Tesla. So the theta ramp is on heavy with those 1220 calls at this point, so just be careful. I'm not saying don't trade Tesla, but similar to NVDA, the risk to reward from a buyer standpoint just isn't there for me right now on Tesla. Vanya, I see your message as well about NVIDIA. It's hard to say, and I'll jump over and answer that real quick just so that we kind of touch on it. But it's hard to say how low will NVIDIA go, because I'm still bullish long-term on NVIDIA. That being said, once this thing loads, I don't know why it's been so slow. Need a Black Friday and build a new PC apparently. But minimally, I'm looking for probably 130.98 test of that support, as well as the confluence with that trend line. I mean, if things got crazy and it broke that trend, we could see a move down here to fill that gap at 119.38. Again, hoping that doesn't happen, but I may personally pick up more shares if I see that happen. Sorry, my Twitter feed's like blowing up over here because I launched the ethical trading AI coin crypto, for those of you that aren't aware. So if you want to get in on that, I'll maybe put a separate video together and we can talk about it, or I might touch on it here at the end of this video. But the dinging, I gotta turn off the notifications on my phone. It's kind of blowing up right now and I can't hear. So if we go from NVIDIA, we looked at Tesla. Tesla, from a technical standpoint, what does that mean? So from a technical standpoint, sorry, it's loading a bit slow. I wouldn't be surprised to see that 324.68 gap fill, which also just happens to align with this trend line. See how there's confluence there? I've been debating going and cleaning up and clearing out a bunch of those previous support and resistance levels on Tesla from the larger time frame, so I need to do that. But for the immediate future, I'd be watching in this range to see, do we break out for a new high, or do we take in with that news that came in today? Does that serve as the short-term top that we see a pullback here and retest in this range? It's like a $40 potential drop in that range, by the way. So there's money to be made on Tesla, but also, like I said, the same thing goes true for puts as it would for calls about them burning premium. So I'm all for maybe a quick lotto trade or something like that and scalping Tesla intraday. I'm not holding and swinging anything on Tesla from an options contract standpoint as a buyer at the moment for the same reasons I called out on NVDA. Restore reward, it just doesn't make sense for me to do that here. There's plenty of other things I'd rather trade with my capital and make better gains. So let's see, next stock on the list. Let me make sure I cover everybody's bases here. Somebody asked me how I keep track of everything on my crypto stuff whenever I'm using like 20 different crypto wallets. So that's why I use CoinGecko and I immediately update the transactions there. And that's why I use it to track all of them, but I can talk through that in a crypto video. Let me jump over to SoFi because I added to some calls on SoFi today because I love the setup right now. So SoFi, bullish continuation going on, right? We got a nice little retracement pullback going on here after we got the initial breakout. If I look at it on the daily, I know this bearish engulfing daily candle is here, and that is a cause for concern overall, but we're still maintaining the support levels in this range for the bullish setup. This is very similar to what we saw on Palantir heading into earnings. So also over on the options flows, I saw bullish momentum and bullish options movement going on rather than people selling covered calls heavily like it was a top. So if I look over at Palantir, keeping this setup in mind, which, you know, now to think about Palantir for whatever reason, like wiped all of the freaking technical drawings I had on here, so I need to go rechart it. And I don't know why. Tony's did it too. I don't know if they changed the underlying code for the ticker on NASDAQ or what. But ultimately, what you've got here going on with Palantir is same bullish continuation. Again, I'll go back and I'll rechart this thing out, but I wanted to show you the setup similarity with what we have going for SoFi right now. And I will go back and make these align better with what we previously had. I'm just throwing them on here so we can see this. So similar to what we saw right here ahead of earnings, where this looked like, oh, we had reached the top and we had rejected, but we pulled back here, and I know a lot of people got super skeptical of Palantir right here in this zone especially. And I need to mess with the kind of replay trading thing here to show y'all what that looked like because that was fun. But I saw it bounce and hold that support range there on the 31st of October, and I saw massive call bullish setup flows coming through on my screener. So I maintained my long positions and even added to them here with some $75 strike calls that ended up ripping as a result of it. So same thing is kind of going on again with Palantir here. The only thing, like I mentioned to Tony earlier today, that has me hesitant here is the lack of volume without a catalyst. So the lack of volume here wasn't like a terribly big deal because I saw the bullish flows over on the screener, but also we were heading into earnings, which I knew was going to serve as a volume catalyst, whether it was positive or negative. It still served as a volume catalyst. We don't really have that at the moment over here unless some kind of random news gets announced related to Palantir. So little skeptical here. If we start to lose this overall setup and trend, I'll probably sell covered calls against my shareholdings, which my average on shares is like $17 or something. I'd have to go back and look. And I've held off on selling covered calls on them, but I may actually have to pursue that. I'm not going to close out my share positions on it. I may go ahead and take the cost basis plus net profit on a few of my call positions if we lose the support in that range, but still looking bullish overall. Next thing we're going to look at here is a firm. The same similar setup to what we saw in SoFi and everything, right? So here's the kicker. If you zoom out and you look on a firm and you look at the larger time frame setup, very much still bullish. This head and shoulders is playing out beautifully at this point. Yeah, that is a bearish daily candle because it's a bearish engulfing candle, but also maintaining bullish flows over there on the Affirm options flows is good. I'll be more concerned if we lose the support for the current bullish setup, and turn on this indicator so we can see like what other patterns it's recognizing as compared to, you know, just mine that I'm tracking against it. So is it loading or is it not loading? It's there. Don't know why it's not showing. See if it's showing a temporary bear setup or not. not seeing it. So looks like it's not identifying any obvious patterns here on the firm for whatever reason. So all good. Maintaining that head and shoulders applied. Same setup. And I'm going through these kind of cheaper stocks that we're swinging calls on because it's real easy on days like today where you see a lot of bullish momentum going on with some of the bigger tech tickers. I'll show you why I'm hesitant and being careful on chasing that kind of stuff. While it feels like there's big movement, what a lot of people won't tell you is that they've been in calls on a lot of those tech tickers for weeks or months at this point that still aren't up. So just because you got 3 to 5% gains on a stock today doesn't mean that the call contracts that you bought, months ago are going to actually peak. There's a couple of people on ethical trading that are good about kind of swinging and phasing in appropriately and sticking to portion control with that. I know Chris is pretty good at that, but I think overall for a lot of people, I would highly recommend against kind of trying to average down to save a call position when the setup could potentially go either way. It'll work out okay sometimes, and then other times you'll wreck an account over it. So that's why you see me sort of treading carefully on some of the bigger tech tickers where there's a lot of risk in both directions, and then you'll see me kind of segment over and shift over to some of these stocks that have cheaper contracts, lower risk to reward ratio going on, and I'll play that out a bit. So let's see. Right now, applied digital. I'd like to see it hold that support in that range. That would be sweet. You can see that the inverse head and shoulders and the rising wedge breakout are still there, playing out nicely. So yeah, I'd like to see this ideally hold that support, get a little bit more volume spike going on, because right now, the volume, you can't see it because that news blip is there. But you can see, even though it was a red day, the volume's starting to increasing there. You can see with the breakout. So that's what we want to see, is we want to see a hold to that support and an upside move to maintain that breakout, and the measured move on that breakout is like way the hell up here. So definitely going to be swinging those March calls on this, probably jumping some June calls as well. What other tickers did we have here? Go through, look on the list and make sure I'm not missing any. So shop, I'll look at that one for you real quick, Tony. It's a shop. I'll remove this just because it's showing a double top here. But it looks like we're holding support, so that double top may play out. We'll see what happens there. I would be careful with that setup, which I'm not actively, I don't think, in any calls. I thought I closed out all my gains on it. Let me make sure real quick. Yeah, I don't see that I'm actively in any shop swing calls at this point. I think I closed out my remaining runners on it. So I would be cautious here. I'm not saying trade puts, but if you're in calls, that resistance level is a good spot that profit taking should have taken place. So be careful if you're trading that. Let's see. Also, just to make sure everybody hear me okay, like throw up a message in the chat or something, because YouTube did just flag and tell me my audio bit rate was crap. I don't know if it's just throwing random messages or what, but just want to make sure that I don't sound like a robot. That way y'all are actually hearing everything and I'm not wasting your time talking through a bunch of stuff that you can't understand. So you can hear it, call it out. I'm assuming Deej can hear me though, because he just put a chat over there talking about how he almost bought Tesla before close. He's glad he didn't. So looking good right now, it looks like, on overall setup though. But like I said, yeah, like I'd be taking some profit if not taking already. Thanks, Vanya, I appreciate it. Thanks, Matt. And Matt hit me up on both sides. I don't know if that's a different Matt that hit me on YouTube versus over in Discord, but I'll take them both. So let's see, next ticker aside from shop, down list here, we looked at SoFi. Yeah, right, Mark. Hey, dude, y'all keep reading my mind when it comes to these crypto tickers, because I'm literally staring at Wolf and Riot and Mara over on my other monitor right now. So Riot, same thing. Like I said, y'all saw what I mentioned about Bitcoin earlier on in the session. Like, same thing as what we saw a couple of weeks ago, where people freaked out because we had a slight retracement with crypto. Like, it's healthy movement, and a lot of these crypto mining companies, you're going to see more bullish continuation into next year. All these little pullbacks and pops, like, it seems like big massive moves, but in reality for these crypto tickers, like, it's just the nature of how they move. So You can see over here many times in the past we kind of teeter-tottered in the range, especially this current range we're in, before ripping up heavily on those breakout points. Also, one thing I'm looking for here is following the halving cycles that we saw in previous years. The bullish movement that we see with that comes especially into play for mining companies. So I don't remember if it was Riot or Mara. I think it was Mara. Same article. It's Matt on both of them. I think Mara released that they actually updated their efficiency by like 12 or 14% or something on their mining profitability over the weekend. So that's a big deal. Their cost per Bitcoin is like way below what the current Bitcoin cost is. So I'm looking for more bullish momentum from a lot of these crypto stocks. I mean, you can see Riot is playing out the first breakout right here. It's playing out yet another breakout, and ideally we get a test. Did we test it already today? Honestly, I didn't look. Ideally, we get a retest of this trend breakout here at that confluence at support, and then it rips up. So I'll be looking for something like that on Riot. If I look up here on Mara as well, dude, my Twitter is blowing up. What is the deal? Like, did one of y'all like take the ethical trading token and like just post it everywhere? Because I literally just got 7 messages and 7 follower tweet reply things in like a matter of like 10 seconds. So, and I've got notifications turned off, but it was popping up on my other screen. Sorry. Mara, same thing. So, we're pulling back. We bounce at this minor support level. So, what I want to see is a hold in the range. I'm not stressing. This is why I phase into positions, especially on these crypto stocks. These kinds of pullbacks like this are the ranges where it kind of pulls back, consolidates, and then rips again. If you've traded any of these over the years, you kind of know the range movement that we have. You don't get up here to the $60, $50 range without having kind of retracement. And looking at this on the weekly time frame, tell me that doesn't still look stupidly bullish at this point. If I turn on this thing to see if it notices patterns, I mean, look, it's showing that we have a beautiful falling wedge breakout here, followed by a retest, which is exactly the same pattern I have, as well as a massive double bottom setup. Wouldn't that be sweet? I'm not saying that happens because I think some of these measurements are extreme, and like I've mentioned to y'all before, I'm using this chart pattern AI tool thing just as an added kind of confirmation point on top of what I'm already charting. But imagine if we all of a sudden went 150 plus with Mara. That would be nuts. I don't think people really realize, I think it might have been Matt that said he realized it last week, but people don't seem to realize how significant of holdings, both of crypto as well as cash, a lot of these mining companies have. It's kind of absurd, from the standing of what normal companies would hold. So they have billions and billions on cash holdings just sitting there to wait, and what they do is they buy crypto on the dips on a lot of it. So watching this setup here, how it formulates and plays out, I would really like to keep adding to Mara and Riot calls here, because this is one of those ranges where if you were in it back in 2021 when we got these pullbacks, I'm not saying millionaires were made necessarily, but people kicked themselves when they didn't get in on the retracement because they thought they'd missed the run. And then we ripped stupid high. And call premiums are pretty high on a lot of these crypto stocks right now. That being said, I mean, shares are appealing, but also longer term swing calls are good since the Fed doesn't seem to be cutting rates as fast as they previously anticipated. So that means the row is hurting contracts a bit less. So Riot, Mara, Intel's not crypto, but we'll look at it real quick and then circle back on crypto. So Intel, we swung some calls, which worked out great this morning for the breakout, and then the news came in about the CEO getting fired or whatever, so got the kind of negation of that. I know a lot of people locked profit early this morning. I'll be looking to see, does it hold that level and range there? Because if it does, we can still push that upside momentum there at 29.05. I haven't watched or checked in on the news related to it, so I don't know whether or not him getting fired, if they've got a new replacement coming in that maybe has experience in something else that is promising. That would be cool, and that would serve as a bullish catalyst. But yeah, definitely watching this setup here. I've got a few runners still just in case it pops off, but we'll see what happens. I look over at, let's see, we did Riot, Mara. We'll look at MicroStrategy, even though I think the options on MicroStrategy are a bit crazy right now to where most people don't want to touch them. But MicroStrategy is still trying to hold its overall bullish setup on the larger time frame here. It's crazy because no one wants to talk about, the fact that this thing is still up some stupid amount over the last like 2 months. Everybody talks about how rug pull and it went to the floor, which I don't know that I would really call that, getting dropped, since it went from beginning of October and it's currently still up over 110%. There's not many stocks in that situation. So MicroStrategy, it's kind of the sailor vicious cycle. For those of you who don't know, they sell MicroStrategy shares, they go buy more crypto, and then therefore MicroStrategy stock increases in price, and then it's sort of like a rinse and repeat vicious cycle that goes on. So definitely be watching that. MicroStrategy's looking good from my opinion. Watching many of the other crypto stocks as well, whether they are mining companies or exchanges. I think that you'll see a lot of momentum come with alt season on a lot of the exchanges as well, especially for the ones that have decentralized finance or DeFi wallets, which I'm working on putting together kind of like a FAQ right now because people keep on asking, and it's good, keep asking, so not knocking, but people keep asking like, what crypto apps do I use, what do I recommend, which one's the best place to buy it, which ones are the safest. So again, I can talk through all that in a separate video if need be, but ultimately there's a lot of opportunity in the coming 6 to 12 months for huge growth within crypto and crypto related stocks. So that's why I'm focusing in on those. If I can put my money on $1,000 for a decent contract for NVDA to give me safe time frame versus $1,000 in one of these other crypto stocks and buying a ton of contracts for something that has a huge upside potential, I'm going to go with the other option. But also there's quite a few stocks out there right now that $1,000 would buy you like 20 to 50 contracts of something that has 100% profit potential with a whole lot less risk than either of these. So just something to keep in mind if you don't see me trading a lot of those. I'll definitely be all over these crypto stocks on the pullback. Wolf is another really good one. I guess I should have just covered the crypto stocks in a separate video to not consume time, but I think a lot of y'all are actively trading most of these. So Wolf's another one that's got a nice little setup going on here. This is a good little retracement, a great opportunity to enter some long positions on it. For those that aren't familiar with Wolf, so they do mining components for crypto and stuff, but they're also nuclear basis and nuclear tied. So interesting kind of sector and area that they're focused in on. Let's see. I just got 6 more alerts of random people following for the ethical thing for the new coin. Ravencoin? Oh yeah, Moorhead. You know it. Let's look at Ravencoin real quick. Those of you that are like, what is Ravencoin? So this is something I actually used to mine and have a crap load of because I mined a lot of it with my graphics card rigs there for a while because it was one of the few coins that was profitable. The only drawback to Ravencoin was how much heat your GPUs put off with it. So when did I alert Ravencoin? I didn't even look and see what the entry price alerted was on it. Let me look real quick because I'm curious now. Because some of y'all should be up big time on that. Let's see. Raven. There's Link, Matic, Doge, Atom, AVAX, Sol, Doge, Ravencoin. Alright, cool. So that was... No way. What? Yeah, okay. Yeah, it was alerted down here. 145 is where that got alerted. I'll mark this because I like to mark it so we kind of know what the entry movement range is for these. Is that right? Did I really get alerted that low? It sure did. Yeah. Okay, we'll take it. I didn't realize we were already up that much on it. Because like I said, I've been in Ravencoin just because I had so many mining rewards from it, but it's already up at like 100% from when it was alerted. So good for y'all if anybody bought in on Ravencoin there. And alt season hasn't even hit yet. Man, some of these coins are going to go nuts. I know everybody's like hyper focused on XRP and Stellar Lumens and Pepe and all those, but there's a lot of these low key coins out there that are going to end up going parabolic and hitting new highs. And for those of you that don't know, I mean, like, look, this was Ravencoin back in the 2021 bull run. So 2 cents to 25 cents plus is massive gains. So this is definitely one. Oh, I may actually go add to my Ravencoin holdings. what's the current price? Is that accurate, or is there something down with their stream? I just want to make sure that we gotta check this real quick, and then we'll come back. Because I want to see whether TradingView is actually out of whack on that or not. That's accurate. Wow. Okay. Don't know why they're throwing an error message. So yeah, Ravencoin's in a fresh breakout here. So if you're looking to enter something, not a bad spot actually to chase a bull flag breakout as well as the inverse head and shoulders breakout. It looks like. Let me turn on the little doodad for the indicator. We'll see if it catches the same pattern that's there that I'm seeing. I don't know if it'll even catch the technical pattern on this because it looks like maybe that it's not pulling data since they had that error flag going on there. But at any rate, like, this setup's looking good. You can see the measured move just for this initial breakout is going to be up in that range. Measured move as well for the coming months is right there based off the inverse head and shoulders. Hey, that's their measured move, so that aligns with the one I previously had charted when I alerted it. So you can see that setup is intact. They're seeing as well off the AI tool. So that is inverse head and shoulders playing out with a measured move up in that range. That's looking good. Now you got me curious and wanting to look at all these cryptos when I feel bad because I think a lot of people are wanting to also look at stocks. So hopefully you are down to look at a few cryptos real quick because we're about to. Matic, Polygon, yet another one that I was talking about coming out of a beautiful falling wedge breakout. And look at our Matic entry. Way down here. So, yeah, this is going to be good. Like, crypto's my jam, y'all. I don't know if y'all realize that. Like, I love stocks and options, but I was actually actively trading and investing in crypto well before I got into stocks and options. So, a lot of the tools and practices apply to both. But understanding blockchain technology and how a lot of these cryptos work, it's very helpful, and I'm highly recommending everyone that's going to invest in crypto get a base understanding of blockchain technology. I've got like a basic write-up out there. I think it's on one of the YouTube videos or something. And I've got a PDF I can kick over to you if you want it. But it walks through kind of what blockchain technology is. There's quite a few links out there as well that I've got. I could be happy to share with y'all on some of the great websites that explain it from a basic fundamental standpoint. But like, we're just on the cusp of a lot of the bullish movement with crypto right now. I mean, basically where we are right now, like if I was looking back in time and I'm thinking halving cycles, market movement, Bitcoin dominance and movement that we're seeing right now, like where we are at the moment is kind of like that 2021, 2022 era where a lot of things started actually popping off. And I feel like a lot of people hesitated at that point back at that time just because they thought that they'd missed the move, and in reality, like, the move had not even really got started yet. So that's where I think back right here to kind of May falling in, June we dropped a bit, right? And there was a lot of stuff that went on with Binance and BNB and some of the others at that point that I think contributed to some of that selling off, but also it's a natural part of the movement with the halving cycles. So if you understand the halving cycles and the movement that comes into play with that, it can be really helpful. So definitely going to be looking for more bullish movement with a lot of the crypto at this point. But as of right now, if I was to say you are here, like, and I think I drew a chart and I showed it to some of the guys in the Discord the other day based off the psychological market cycle. For those that don't know what I'm talking about, let's do this real quick. Cycle. Show you this. It's a good learning opportunity because people will look at the Bitcoin dominance chart and they'll just completely disregard that this is applicable for I'm gonna make this bigger, don't worry. Where's the open image and new tab? So if you look here, like, everybody's like, oh, we're in complete. No, we're not here. We're not in euphoria and all that. As someone that's been through this since like 2017 and been through a couple of halving cycles now, we're kind of over here in this optimism phase on a lot of crypto at the moment. So we're in optimism and we're just starting to kind of ease into, are we starting to feel belief? This is applicable for crypto just like it is with stocks. And like, you want to look at crypto for different perspectives. But ultimately, if you were to like overlap that, and I'll try to finish up the chart that I showed last week with the timing of different events that took place. But yeah, like crypto's about to get rocking, guys. Like this is gonna get fun. Y'all think this rip on Bitcoin was fun? Wait till alt season hits. And like that's not like a plug type thing, but like get in on our crypto too if you want while it's dirt cheap. If you want to know how, just hit me up on any of the kind of stuff and I'll kind of walk you through the steps of using Phantom Wallet. But it's not as shady as it sounds. You just got to get used to kind of weird naming stuff when you get used to crypto. But ultimately, there's a lot of altcoins and altcoin movement that's going to be super bullish in the coming months. So that's where I'm going to be focusing on my gains, is going to be in some of the small to mid caps that are going to get benefit into next year, as well as a lot of crypto stuff. So jumping back into stocks, because I could talk about crypto all day. Hey, look at Moorhead over here making big gains on crypto. Sorry, every time I get excited about talking about stocks, somebody else brings up crypto. Look, Bree dropped a freaking Amazon delivery truck. See, Tony, Rivian vans do exist. And for those of y'all that don't know, like that's kind of a running joke amongst me and several other people on there, because there's probably like 10 freaking Rivian Amazon trucks in our neighborhood at any given point. And like, thus, I'm a big fan and supporter of Rivian, because obviously they're not going to go belly up with Amazon fully backing them like that. But Tony and others are like, I don't see any Rivian trucks where I'm at. I'm like, dude, I don't know what to tell you because they're everywhere here. But other stocks, make sure I go through the full list of everybody. Matic, XLM, Stellar Lumen. Every time y'all keep bringing up all these cryptos, and I just feel like I need to look at them for people, because I know that that's where people are trying to throw money right now. But Stellar Lumen, yet another one that is in a bull flag breakout at the moment. So looking good. It's going to have more upside momentum and breakout. We'll see what happens. Jumping back over to a few of the stocks for people. Let me pull up the list here, because I want to make sure I don't miss out on any that people are actively asking about. So we talked about Wolf. We talked about Mora. We talked about SoFi. Siri we didn't look at. Siri is a bit of an interesting one that I chose to take a very small position on today for calls, and I'll show you why. Because of this, even without, I didn't even realize that they had this set up, so that's even better. They've got a nice big falling wedge breakout going on, but like I was marking it on the smaller one, I wasn't even accounting for the massive one that this AI tool is grabbing, so we'll take that as well. I'm all for a move to $50+ on Siri, considering the calls we got in earlier today are at $30 strike for March. We got plenty of time. But if you look at just my setup here on the smaller time frame setup, which would be even more conservative of a move, you've got a potential breakout on Siri. Just to that. What I want to see is a push with volume increasing above that 2820 level there. So we see that, and we very quickly on Siri can see a move initially to this next resistance, and then followed by that resistance. You know, I don't really like tagging it that way. I'm going to do it this way so it's a bit cleaner for people to reference in case they want to use the charts later. I'll do a call out here. So this is kind of, I guess, this learning opportunity, because this is what I would recommend for people for taking profits as well, is trimming profits as you approach each of the resistance levels. And I mark upside profits in blue, downside levels I'm taking profit at in red for the obvious reasons, but PT equals price target. So looking for these price targets and measured moves with the breakout of that. There's also, it looks like an inverse head and shoulders trying to form there. We'll see if that plays out. But Siri is one that I want to say even Berkshire Hathaway and Warren Buffett have some holdings in, since they did the buyout and merger and acquisition with Siri and SiriusXM and all that. So I saw a lot of bullish movement on this earlier today as well. We'll see what happens here with Siri, but like I said, $30 calls are looking hot that we're in right now. I might add to them tomorrow just to go ahead and get in. If we get a breakout here, this sucker can rip at least right there really fast, and right there is $10 in the money on $30 calls, which is $1,000 plus based off of the value alone. So all kinds of gain potential it looks like on Siri. Y'all are starting to see what I'm talking about, I think, where $1,000 on something like this, risk reward, gain potential compared to 20-30% on NVDA or Tesla, that's why I do this instead, whenever the setup could go either way on the others. So, Analyzer wants me to do Rumble. I feel like I'm falling back into 2021 and freaking Matt Coors days at the moment. So shout out to Matt Coors and all my diamond-handed apes. Which reminds me, somebody tell me to look at GameStop here in a minute, please. But Analyzer wants me to look at Rumble. I know this is one that Matt Coors pushed a ton in 2021. Honestly, I don't know a whole lot about Rumble these days. As of right now, it looks like it's still in downtrend. One thing I want to caution people on breakouts, because I think it's easy, like Tony, you've been doing this on some, so it's a good kind of talking through, learning opportunity, and not knocking, just kind of coaching and talking through it. But you want to be careful about just assuming because you've got this downtrend line and a peak above it that now we got breakout, because there's more to it than that. So you want to make sure that, for one, the volume increasing would be something good to see, but you're also wanting to take into account some of the other levels and supports that we have in play here, as well as if there's resistance like immediately above it. So it looks like there's resistance right here on Rumble. It potentially tags. I'd say that there obviously is a minor resistance as well right up here in this range. It's arguably a major resistance since we're on the weekly time frame. But yeah, you want to be careful there. I think that there is some bullish potential here on Rumble, but like I said, I don't know a whole lot about Rumble and kind of their profitability and what the options flows and stuff look like on it right now to be able to speak with confidence to it. So, let's see here. 2 seconds. Alright. Rumble, we looked at that. And it's worth watching. I think if you look here, it probably is tagging. Yeah, it's showing the bullish setups there. If you want to look at the technical setup, like I said, just watching, make sure you confirm on that breakout. Like, yeah, we've got a breakout. Ideally, you have this back test here. If you see bullish continuation here, especially with the increasing volume, and even more preferably a nice big fat green candle that like pierces directly through that resistance level and has follow through, like that'd be a good trade. So you know what, I might actually trade this. So I'm gonna mark it over here on my list to watch and see if we get a good setup on it. Because I'll jump in that as well. I think it's getting some of that hype going on from sentiment. Agnes, she sent me a message. Man, thank you, Agnes, for sending me a message and for asking that. Like, and I hope you don't mind me calling that out for everyone as well. Walking through, like, setting up a Phantom wallet, and I'm glad you asked because I think that that's something that would be good to walk everyone through. The other part of looking for altcoins, I will do the heavy legwork for most of y'all on identifying and finding altcoins and other aspects, and kind of share those with you. I'm not going to like throw some random shitcoin at y'all. Like, I refuse to do that. But if I see a coin that's got some promise and growth potential to it, I'll call it out to y'all and I'll provide kind of justification on the why. Reason being is if I was to try to walk you through the process for how I go about navigating and kind of going through in detail, like all the different tools and pages and resources I use to vet through different altcoins and new projects, it would be extremely overwhelming for y'all. So I don't want to overwhelm you to the point that it makes you tap out on crypto before you even kind of consider it. So I can definitely do a video kind of walking through Phantom Wallet. I actually went ahead and made a recording this weekend on how to, like, once you get Solana actually on like Robinhood or Coinbase or any other exchange and transfer that to your wallet on Phantom Wallet. I made a video walking through like how you could swap it for the ethical trading AI token that we created. So, yeah, I guess since we talked through so much crypto, I'll go ahead and just mention this as well. Shameless plug, whatever you want to call it. But for those of you that aren't already aware, I went ahead and since I've been in crypto for so many years and I put off, I finally went ahead and actually created and generated my own crypto token on the Solana blockchain. With the intent of making it a community-based and backed meme coin. So, I'm not saying we're going to be the next Doge or anything like that, but my intent is really to take the ethical trading AI token, EXTAIT, I don't know how we want to phrase that. Y'all throw me some creative and fun ideas, and we'll have fun with it. But my goal and intent with this is not to just make a bunch of money off of it type thing, but more so to grow and establish this as a kind of referenceable meme coin to help other people kind of get attracted and learning from others through community-based stock and crypto trading. So more so not just flocking to ethical trading, because that's not what it's about. I'm on 5 different discords actively, but more so kind of a community-based chain and coin where we can all kind of sync behind that, and maybe make some gains, in the coming months. But also it gives everyone that is already kind of exposed and involved the opportunity to get in on a token or a project while it's stupidly cheap, because there's only at this point, I think I forget how many holders. I don't even remember where to check on this. 16. We got 16 current wallet holders right now of y'all throw me some ideas here how to extate. I don't know. But basically, we have 16 holders of our token at this point. I am the primary holder, and I'm not selling any of my crap, so y'all don't have to worry about me rugging or anything like that. A lot of y'all know my value and stuff that's in here right now. I'm sitting on a lot of liquidity in my other crypto accounts, so where if I need to add liquidity and grow and expand the token, I will. And quite a few of y'all are aware of my crypto holdings and my other wallets and holdings, so if I need to transfer even a small percentage of that over to help support and grow our coin, I'll do it without hesitation. So no intent of me selling off and rugging this to kind of take profits off everyone. No, my goal is to grow and expand it. It may take us time, but yeah, it'd be cool if anybody else wants to jump in, support it, and grow. The way this works, and maybe I break this off and I can see if I can split this part or clip it from the current video, but the way this stuff works right now is, I launched it on Moonshot, so once it hits $100,000 market cap, which you can see we're already almost at 9K, and I just launched it yesterday. Once it hits 100K market cap, it gets migrated over to Radium, and from Radium, it's an actual exchange-based swap platform, so you can already go ahead and buy it, or you can buy Solana and swap for it over on Phantom Wallet actively using the contract address right now. Morehead's not worried about me rugging him. Yeah, dude, you better not be. Because, I've thrown in on many projects over the years and got rugged on, knowing good and well I was just supporting a random person. But, y'all know me. And that's I guess if I was to say anything to Agnes about her question related to vetting different coins and stuff, the problem with a lot of the coins on something like Radium, which I think Morehead got first exposure when he got on Radium and he saw all the massive random meme coins that are, dirt cheap with tons of zeros on them. The concern is that a lot of people don't know who is the author or the developer or the grower of those tokens and coins, so y'all know me, and that would be kind of my thing, is that on any of those, if you know the people that kind of establish them and you know the development team, then that's something you can kind of have a little bit more faith in, especially if they're transparent about it. So like I said, I'm the biggest holder as of right now. If you look at the bubble map thing, which it's kind of cool because it actually shows from a handy perspective the different wallets, how they interrelate. If this thing even loads, I guess it's not going to load. I guess it's just not going to load at the moment, but yeah, it kind of shows the different holders. So I'm going to keep adding liquidity to it as necessary, and we'll see what happens as we grow it. But yeah, Morehead's been rogue too. I think all of us have been in crypto for a few years, have been rogued at some point or another, and even with some of the more mainstream tokens and coins, you can still get rogued. So it's definitely not something that is impossible. I'm not letting that shit happen on our coins, so don't worry. If somebody wants to come mess with it, then I might have to break out the Ethical Hacker Days vengeance. And for those of you that don't get that reference, my previous Discord name as well as my gamer tag on Xbox and stuff is Ethical X Hacker. So white hat, non-bad stuff, thus the Ethical Hacker. If you get the reference from a job role, you get it, but just throwing that out there. If we get random people trying to get in and do some shady stuff with us, it will not end well for them. So on that note, let me make sure there's no more active crypto or stocks that people wanted me to pull and look at a chart. Orbit Bots, I don't know which one you are. Orbit Bots is on YouTube. Y'all gonna have to start like giving me a reference whenever you comment on YouTube. If you're also in the Discord, if you're not, that's cool too. Come on and join us. It's free. But I think I've covered most of the stocks that we entered. I'll try to touch base on a few more tomorrow. As of right now, though, I think we went through most of them, so I'll call it a wrap for tonight. And I will try to go about putting together the video and just kind of overlap some voice overlay for how to use Phantom Wallet. But Phantom Wallet, you can either use the web platform or just download the app on your phone, and then you can set up a wallet there. At some point, you can actually transfer that over to cold storage. Oh yeah, GameStop. Thank you, Vanya. Thank you. I almost got off the session without talking through GameStop. So, GameStop. I'm gonna delete this because we already played the breakout last week. So GameStop had some bullish stuff going on. I've kind of like wanting to buy this dip heading into earnings. I know it sounds really weird, but I'm just getting a vibe. And when I get a vibe, like the people over on Bullish Raid used to make it a funny. They talked about my GameStop spotty sense for years because I'd look at the options flow and I would buy GameStop based off the vibe, which y'all know that I'm like big data driven overall and technical analysis driven. Like for me to make an assumption and buy something off of a spotty sense vibe is kind of off base, but GameStop has never steered me wrong doing it. I want to see if this can hold the support in this range. I might buy some longer term calls on it either way. Honestly, I might buy a couple hundred shares of GameStop tomorrow or later this week and then sell a covered call to hedge into earnings. I don't know what the options look like. I'm going to look at them real quick to see how ridiculous the prices are. If I was to just straight up buy them. Let me see GameStop. If I like sold like December 20th, where it's got the IB in my favorite. Damn. Okay. I could sell like a $27 call for $300, which buys me how many more GameStop shares? Another 10. Welcome to the vicious cycle of, you know what? Cash secured puts wouldn't be a bad idea right here on GameStop. Actually, Tony, if you're listening, actually, you stay away from GameStop because you don't handle volatile tickers well, dude. Like, you're awesome. I love you, man, but you do not handle volatility like crypto and GameStop well, so don't do that. Don't use GameStop as your first cash secured put venture. Stick with kind of the more traditional stuff. But yeah, I may sell some cash secured puts on GameStop with the volatility on this pullback because, like I've talked through before, maybe this is another video, but ideally you sell covered calls into spikes and big green days. Where it's profitable in your favor as an option seller. Ideally, you sell cash secured puts whenever you're on big red days or hard pullbacks at a level of support. That way, it's most favorable for you as an option seller. And then you can either buy to close a cash secured put once the stock moves up and the premium tanks, or vice versa with calls, right? So, I don't know. I kind of want to buy shares on GameStop and just kind of sit on them. I don't know why. I can't fully explain that right now. I'll have to look at the options flows tomorrow and see if they're still showing bullish sentiment. But yeah, GameStop, like, I don't think a lot of people realize how much of an online retail presence GameStop really has at this point. Like, if you're thinking GameStop from a stores only perspective, that's not all that reflective. So yeah, Tony does bring up one more point that I wanted to touch base on with the sector rotation. So notice all those big green, big tech sector rotational moves that we had going on today. So like what's misleading a bit about it too is like AMD, for instance. If you look at the single day, it's like, oh, a big 3.5% gain day, but look at it in the scheme of things, right? It's trying to hold a breakout of this trend, but ultimately right now it's still at risk of yet another bear flag breakdown, which I hate because I really want to see AMD come out swinging. We'll see if it can push above and hold above that trend breakdown again, but just like it did over here, it rejected back under the trend. So as of right now, I'm watching this to kind of see how it plays out. If it rejects back under that 141.16 resistance level here into trend, we're probably looking at 121, 122 range. The tariffs didn't go away, and in fact, discussions got more significant about tariff impact on a lot of these tickers. So Yeah, I can do Best Buy for you too, Analyzer. I got a couple of minutes. I think I got a couple of minutes. That's not random. It's okay. So, yeah. As right now, AMD watching this, but one thing I want to call out, because this hasn't gone away, and this is kind of my key ETF for indication of the semiconductors as a whole. And I want to show you something, because as of right now, like, that is the head and shoulders pattern I had drawn that we have been monitoring that is very much still intact. I want to show you this, because this is how I use this tool, and I back check it. So this thing is actually flagging and finding the same exact head and shoulders that I'm watching. It also has a double top setup. It is now flagged as well, and it also has now tagged a freaking rising wedge. That is 3 bearish patterns that this tool has randomly tagged across this larger time frame setup on SMH, which is the primary semiconductor ETF. So that's why I want people to be careful, and why you don't see me chasing calls on breakouts on like NVDA, AMD, and some others right now, because for one, they're expensive. But also from an overall perspective here, there's a lot of downside risk. Notice how there's no bullish, and I've got this thing set all chart, like this is all patterns. There are no bullish patterns that this tool is flagging right now, and like you can look at this from a higher lows perspective, but higher lows here, that is a rising wedge, which is a bearish pattern. So be careful. I think that maybe that pattern measured move that this thing's doing on the head and shoulders is a bit extreme, because I was looking for more of a move just to this 161.17 support if we break down. But yeah, like this is kind of your primary ETF for semiconductors, and the fact that this still looks like this has me very reluctant to embrace the idea that semiconductors as a whole are just going to go moonbound. I think that there's a lot of options driven derivative movement you're seeing on some of the independent tickers right now, but there's a lot of bearish setup going on SMH at the moment. If we look at Microsoft too real quick, and then we'll look at Best Buy. I mean, Microsoft's got, look, I had a head and shoulders mapped out on this thing as well, and it looks like, I haven't even looked at this with the AI tool yet, but it's tagging a very similar setup right now on Microsoft, and that consolidation is not good consolidation. Like, we have built it and grown and stayed consistent there, but if you look here, volume's actually weakening. So it's pushing up, and we have movement to the upside with weakening volume. That's not good. That means this downside move is usually more volatile and dramatic. So definitely want to be careful overall, because you got a massive rising wedge here on the weekly, it looks like. And again, there's no bullish patterns being flagged here, because it's not quite a bull flag yet. It's kind of trying to make one, but it doesn't have one. However, these patterns are valid that this thing is tagging at this point. So just treading carefully with a lot of the tech stocks right now. I know that we, from a market ETF standpoint, with QQQ and SPY, push high and hard, but you want to be careful, because a lot of these underlyings pushing it can pull back heavy. But Best Buy real quick for Analyzer, and then we will call it for the night. Help if I clicked and typed the right ticker, huh? So I thought I marked this up some earlier. Okay, I did. I was like, it's just loading. Best Buy, I'm not actively trading it. I take it you are eyeing some calls or in some calls. I mean, it's trying to bounce here. However, that's still in downtrend, so I would be careful here. I'll turn on this little tool here. It looks like it's trying to trade kind of this double bottom type. Was that a rectangle pattern? Yeah, it's a rectangle. So like it's a repeated rectangle pattern it's got going on here, similar to inverse head and shoulders, but its target's up here in that range. So if it can break out that downtrend with big green volume, that would be good. It looks like even though it had crappy earnings, that it has had good volume since then. So maybe. I don't know if you've been to a Best Buy lately, but those things are dead in store. They may be doing some strong online sales, especially with Black Friday and Cyber Monday. I actually need to order a few different parts for a new PC build for the streaming, because this one's not cutting it. And Best Buy is where I'm probably going to order at, because me and Newegg have had some not friendliness stuff over the last year. So therefore, I'm probably going to buy from Best Buy or Amazon. But at any rate, yeah, Best Buy, I mean, it might go for that gap fill up there at 192. We'll see what happens. In the meantime, I personally probably wouldn't go calls on that just yet. probably a little premature. But yeah, cool. All right. On that note, it looks like I covered all the tickers that people had there. If y'all do have other tickers that come to mind, let me know, and I will prep and I'll plan to go through those tomorrow for you. And yeah, again, if anybody's interested in the kind of Phantom Wallet thing and entering into ethical trading AI token, let me know. I'll help you out. We'll go through it. And even like you just buy like $10 or $20 of it now, and do great if it does end up becoming a thing. So, on that note, everyone have a good night. I'm going to close it out. Spend time with the family, relax, and let's make some more gains tomorrow. Later.